you go.
What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today is Subscriber Sunday. Put on your hazmat suits, come sit down upon the carpet and join us. I hope you're well. It's a crazy world out there at the moment, but yes, we will get through this together. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell, as it hugely helps out this channel. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story is from Even Reptar is Naked. Develop nudes. I listen to Reddit videos a lot these days. It's easier than reading when you're busy cleaning or working. It's usually my lovely daddy Mark. Your voice is butter on my ears. Please make those long videos. Another XYZ, OZ, or in this case Zach, DDOR or Voicey here if you're fancy, who read one about photo developing that reminded me of my brief stint working at 1 Hour Photo, and I can't believe I forgot about this absolute gem. It's a cross post from r/Tales from Retail, but I'd rather hear Mark read it. My first real job at 18 was working at a big old red retail giant. Once upon a time, the bigger locations housed OHP departments. Most of them had Thanos snapped out of existence, but a few still remain. They're mostly just digital kiosks though. Ours, however, was in its heyday at the time, the glorious year of 08 it was. We had a nice setup to develop film, touch up pictures so your whole family reunion didn't have red eye, etc, while the kiosk to develop your own pictures from your memory cards and whatnot were available. Our personal services were still used fairly often. This glorious moment started innocently enough. A younger couple, mid-20s and sweet as pie, had come in with a plastic bag full of disposable cameras. Some were regular cheap Fuji ones, and there were a handful of those fancy waterproof case disposables you take to the beach. I'd estimate 5 to 6 regulars and 4 waterproofs. While making small talk as I figured out how long it would take, I asked what all the cameras were for. The regular Fujis were all set on reception tables to allow guests to take candid photos. A very cute and popular idea those days. The waterproofs were from the combined bachelor/bachelorette party they had at the beach. Precious. I told them it would be a couple of hours with a volume of film, but I'd touch them up and have them ready by the end of the day. They weren't in a rush and decided to pick them up the next day. I developed the film over the course of the night. All is well. Silly bunny ear pictures, a bunch of out of focus pictures beyond saving, just regular fun pictures you'd expect from events like this. Oh, but wait, the waterproof cameras. While there are plenty of cute swim pictures with beers in hand, the dick pics. Oh my god. Not tasteful nudes, no flashing a nippy on accident, not a prank of someone getting pantsed. Heaps and heaps of guys just pulling out their trunks, snapping a quick dick pic and setting the camera back down. And it wasn't just the one person, like over half a dozen different ding-dongs. And if you think there was a system of one pecker pic per person, you'd be wrong. Dead wrong. These phallic photos took up half of each of the 4 cameras. To this day, of all the online dating I've done and nice guys I've met, I've never seen so many penises. Oh god. I didn't print them, obviously. In fact, I'm supposed to report them, but I didn't. I just deleted them from our digital system. Now to the fun part, telling the newlyweds. Katie, new bride, Kevin, new groom. I said, so I have your photos. I made sure to touch them up and remove the red eye and all that. Katie said, that's great. How much do I owe you? I said, well, about that, there were several dozens photos I couldn't use at all. You could see Kevin immediately get antsy. Katie said, oh, they were too blurry or something. That's okay, I understand. You can still charge the full amount. I said, not exactly. There were some indecent... Katie cuts me off. Kevin, oh my god, you didn't. I thought you were joking. And smack after smack on arm. How many? Kevin said, I don't know, we were drunk. We thought it'd be funny. Katie, so red with embarrassment and anger, pinching her nose and sighing at me. How many? I said, it's hard to tell. About 2 dozen or so. Don't worry, I won't charge you for a roll. I deleted them, just don't tell my boss. She apologised over and then paid. All while glaring at her new husband, thanking me for not making a whole thing about it. She quietly yelled at him the whole way out the door. The department completely closed a few months later. No one yelled at me, and outside of all the random nudes, the rest of the photos were quite adorable. I still wish I could have legally printed at least one to prove it to her, but she seemed to believe me without proof. Hopefully they're still going strong, and this is a funny story to tell on anniversaries or something. 1 hour photo? Man, it is a trip. Sorry for posting so often. Love you, Mark, just as much as we both love thick thighs. Love you too. Love you too. Oh, God. I've always wondered about these camera places, what they do when people have, like, dick pics and stuff that come into. They must get it loads. Like, people mooning it and stuff like that. What is the procedure that happens when they find those photos? What happens when they report it? Does it get taken further, or do they just refuse to serve them? I don't understand. Our next story is by Raven's Arts. Horrible creature of a woman threatens to hurt me, 8 years old, if I don't give her bitch daughter my sketch pad. Gets majorly owned by my dad. I give full permission for this to be used. Listen to one of your stories reminding me of something that happened to me a long time ago. Note, this all happened in the late 70s, way before cell phones, political correctness, and before parents did everything short of putting a LoJack up their kids' ass to keep track of them. It was a time when people willingly segregated themselves and women were still considered weird for not wanting to just be mums and housewives. When I was, I think, 8, I was sitting on a bench under a blooming cherry tree near a well-known playground in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I was drawing on a sketch pad, just minding my own business. Then, along comes a girl who happened to be black. This is important. About 11, who sat next to me for a few moments before saying, "I want to draw, give me that pad." She then tried to snatch it from me, but, being the victim of bullying, I recognised the signs and wrapped my arms around the pad and yelled, "No." Unfortunately, my yell attracted the girl's creature of a mother, who came over to us and basically said that a kid wanted my drawing pad. I should give it to her right now. No cajoling, no negotiating, just now. Let me pause for a bit to describe this woman. She was thin and tall, at least to me, but now I think she was only 5'6", with an afro, big hoop earrings, a tie-dye-ish long sleeve shirt, tied just under her breast, and the classic bell-bottom jeans with sneakers. She had lots of makeup and big false eyelashes that had to be at least an inch long. She would have actually been pretty, if not for that I smell shit look on her face. Again I yelled, "No, leave me alone, you can't have my sketch pad." My open defiance resulted in the creature bending over me and threatening to yank my stringy hair out and slap the shit out of me if I didn't do what I was told. I just curled into a ball, closed my eyes, cried and screamed, "No," over and over. It never occurred to me to run, but I honestly think if I had, they would have probably caught me. Well, this made the creature very mad, so she started to grab a handful of my hair as her bitch daughter laughed, and was just about to yank on it, when suddenly, just wasn't there. She did pull a little of my hair out when she disappeared, causing me to yelp in pain. I opened my eyes to see the creature on the ground, looking up, fear etched across her and her daughter's face as she looked up at my dad. Dad had gone into the bathroom and Mum, who was supposed to be watching me, had run into her friend and was talking to them and smoking the cigarette about 40 feet away. I hated cigarette smoke and she knew it. Because of all the noisy kids around, hadn't heard me yelling. She got majorly chewed out for not watching me and was very apologetic to me and never made that mistake again. Mum wasn't a bad mum, she was actually a great mum, she just dropped the ball on this one. Dad, upon coming back, had seen the creature looming over me and then grabbed my hair, so he sprinted to us and slammed into the creature, knocking her on her ass and then stood over her, with the most rage-filled face I'd ever seen on my dad. The creature, for her part, just sat there, stunned and staring up at my dad, silent. Pretty sure she put 2 and 2 together and figured out who he was. Dad eventually, through clenched teeth, ground out, "What the fuck were you doing to my child?" There was enough venom in his voice to kill an entire zoo worth of animals. I was surprised creature and her spawn didn't drop dead right there. The creature said nothing for a moment, but then, due to either bravery or stupidity, finally spoke. "How could I known she was your kid? She looks white." For the record, I'm Latina Scottish, Mum's Scottish, and my dad's dark-skinned Nicaraguan. Dad's glare, if possible, got even more rage-filled. "What the fuck does that have to do with anything?" he snarled. I saw the creature swallow hard before continuing. We'd never mess with her if we'd known she wasn't a white girl. She said it as if it somehow excused her and her daughter were attempting to hurt and steal from a small child. It was both revolting and pathetic. Dad took a deep breath, probably to keep from kicking the creature in the face, and said the following: "So you think it's okay to hurt a child just because of her colour? You fucking racist cunt. It's never okay to harm a child, any child. Your excuse is fucking bullshit, and both you and your kid are pieces of shit, and the only reason I don't kick your fucking head in until it breaks open is because I don't want to go to jail. Now get the fuck out of here before I change my fucking mind and decide to take my chances with the cops." Dad then, not coincidentally, pulled her up by her afro, she had a considerable one, and threw her away from him like she was covered in maggots. The creature stumbled and called him a cocksucker when she was at striking distance, then she and her walking fuck trophy ran away as fast as they could. Dad picked me up. I was still crying, asked if I was okay, and I said yeah, and then asked if I wanted to go to the ice cream store near our house to get a banana split. By this point, Mum had come back and asked what had happened. All of it happened in just a few minutes, but to me it felt like hours. Dad, still in rage mode, snapped at her for leaving me alone and carried me all the way back to the car. Never saw the creature or her spawn again, even though I went to the park many times, and I was very glad of it, and I did get my banana split. Our next story is from Fiona McTire, 91. Weirdos call the call centre. Hey there Mark, thank you so much for using my story in your video. This story is one that's well known in my call centre. Gather around and I will regale you with the epic of the Bikini Man. This is another story from my time with a big red checkmark call service company. Me and my co-workers began to notice that there is a specific customer who'd regularly call into customer service. It was odd because if he heard that the call centre employees was a male, he would hang up immediately and call back. He would only continue to call if he heard a feminine voice/name. Often he had some minor question about his bill, but would open the call asking what upgrades he had. The upgrade check would take a bit of time, since he had several lines. As the representative was checking the account, he would start up a conversation the same way, with the same question. He would say, hey, if you saw someone running to catch up with a Greyhound bus, would you ask the driver to stop? Regardless of the representative answer, he'd go into a long dramatic story about how he'd been trying to catch up to a Greyhound bus that his ex-girlfriend was on. He wanted to try and win her back, and no one tried to get the bus driver to stop and let him on the bus. He would talk about how some lady with groceries started throwing canned food at him to keep him away from the bus. Any attempt from a rep to change the topic to his actual question would be ignored. He would follow this up by saying the same thing. You sound like a very sweet person. I bet you would have asked the driver to stop. You sound really pretty too. You have my phone number. Can you text me a picture of yourself? I bet you would look amazing in a bikini. Now in this call centre we were never allowed to hang up on customers, no matter what. The problem got to be so bad that the managers told us that if the guy's account popped up, to greet him and tell him that he had to be transferred to a manager. He would hang up and call again. Revenge. I had one particular male co-worker who had a really neat ability to make his voice either high-pitched and feminine or go into a very deep voice similar to the actor who played Ray's in Underworld. Well, by this time, we're all aware of this guy's name and number. So one day, the guy called in and my male co-worker got the call. I sat next to him in the open air desks, so I saw a grin on his face and his fist pump. Then I heard him clear his throat and speak in a very feminine Valley Girl style voice with a standard greeting, but changed his name to Erin. He kept at the feminine voice until the guy did the signature, I bet you would look great in a bikini line. My friend's voice dropped suddenly to an extreme low masculine voice and said, no, I don't think I would. The BG panicked and hung up. But the cherry on top was that he called back the same day and demanded a manager to complain about my friend. The whole reason we kept trying to get him to management was because the company decided that it was time to cancel his service due to him harassing so many reps, but had to speak with him before they could shut down the account. All his lines were cancelled and his information was flagged for being a harassing customer, so he could never get service renewed with us. My friend wasn't the hero we asked for, but he was the one we needed. We all bought him snacks and sodas for the next month because of his amazing deed. Hope you folks enjoy this tale of craziness from the call centre. God man, there are some pervs out there, dude. I bet right now though, he's harassing someone else with his bikini stories. I bet you missed that, don't you? Thank you very much for sharing that story. I love it. Our next story is from Freaky Nonce. Worst day of my son's life. A bit of backstory, my son, 13, has severe autism so he doesn't talk, hates being touched and hates loud noises. EP entitled parent, EK entitled kid, Aiden, my son, fake name. Just today I was taking my son to his therapist like I do every weekend. We're in the waiting room which has a fish tank. My son was watching the fish when EP and EK walks in. I didn't really notice or care until EK runs over to the fish tank too. I was fine with this, but kept a good eye on Aiden, just in case. That's when the EP walks over to me. No issue here, probably just wants to start a conversation. The EP says, hi, is that your son? I say, yeah. What's his name? It's Aiden. EK looks at my son's safety blanket he takes with him everywhere. It probably interests EK because it has pictures of dragons and it's fluffy. EK looks about 8 as well, so I'm not surprised this interested him. EK reaches out to take the blanket, but I grab the blanket quickly. I said sorry, my son needs it and doesn't like people touching it. The EK says, "Mummy, I want to have the blanket." To which the EP says, "Your son isn't using it now though." And I say, "Yeah, but he's going to want it if someone takes it." "Just let my son have it." Still no, it belongs to my son. At this point, the EP is drawing attention to us and is being pretty loud. My son instinctively took the blanket from me like he always does when he gets stressed. The EP says, "So now he wants it when somebody else wants it." I said, "It belongs to my son. Buy your son his own one." "Well, my son has OCD and can't wait that long." "My son has the right to use his own things when he needs to." The EK snatches the blanket from my son, who starts crying. I'm mad right now, and a worker comes over to us. The worker says, "What's the issue?" The EP says, "His son stole my son's blanket." And to which I say, "It belongs to my son." The worker knew the regulars here, me and my son, and knew it belonged to my son as, like I said, he took it everywhere. The worker said, "I believe it does belong to Aiden." "But I want it." "I'm sorry, young man, but it does belong to this boy." EK then hits my son, very weakly, and my son starts crying again. I'm in protective mode now and snatch the blanket off EK. A wrong move, admittedly. I give the blanket to my son, and another worker comes over, saying that EP and EK are going to have to leave if this continues. EP storms out of the room in a huff, and I had to reschedule my son's therapist appointment because he's mid-breakdown now. I was in the wrong at some parts, such as snatching the blanket and not dealing with it calmer and quieter. Probably right keeping calm in front of your son and stuff. There's no need to stress the situation further. Thank you very much for sharing that story. That is much appreciated. Our next set of stories is from One Toxic Pixel. I see ya. Why I Don't Like My Sister. A summary of short stories. Hi everyone, I finally managed to get my password back for this account. Yay me! So I decided to share some little stories about my older sister that really aren't deserving of their own post, but I think you might enjoy it here. English is not my first language, but feel free to roast me for any mistakes I make, since I do consider myself to be perfectly fluent. Not on mobile, I suck at formatting, and what I do write in my free time, mostly cringe-worthy love stories, I do suck at it, so yeah, sorry for all that. Let's begin, shall we? To make it easier, I'm going to call my sister Kay. No, not short for Karen, she is not a Karen, but coincidentally, her first name also starts with a K. Kay always has been kinda difficult. She is stubborn, hot-headed, easily offended, and kinda judgmental. She always has to be right, and everything has to go her way. Otherwise she gets annoyed, or very angry. She is also a hypocrite, the fun kind. She likes to establish rules, then turns around and immediately goes against them herself. That should be enough to give you a feel for what to expect. So time for the first story. Kay and A had a big fight. One of my other sisters, gonna call her A, and Kay got into a huge fight once. I don't exactly remember why, but A is just as stubborn as Kay, so probably because of that. I didn't pick a side because I think that would have been incredibly childish and not help at all. Also, it takes at least 2 people to have a massive fight. A soon told me that she was actually kinda sorry for her behaviour, which is what sets her apart from Kay. She can actually admit her faults. When I later talked to Kay, she immediately started bad-mouthing A, trying to drag everyone else into this by making them pick sides, which in turn made everyone feel uncomfortable. I said nothing. When A found out about this, she got really sad and angry. They both stopped talking to each other for years. Kay was kinda transphobic. My younger sister, called C, is transgender. I think that is the right term, please correct me if this is the wrong one. She was born a boy, but she always felt more like a girl. So as a teenager, she started hormone therapy after talking to a whole bunch of therapists and psychiatrics who all confirmed that yes, she is indeed a girl and will never be happy if we just let her be. I wasn't there when that happened, but C told me about it because she was very upset, and apparently I am a good sister. When they were at a restaurant, Kay actually said that C is ridiculous, it's just a phase, and one day she will regret that she did that to herself. C told me when she looks at her naked body, she wants to kill herself because she hates that thing between her legs so much. But yeah, it's just a phase, I guess. Just for your information, C is doing way better now and will probably soon have surgery. No permanent damage done to her. Kay insulted me. Kay and I got into a fight soon after the last incident, mostly because she tried to get people to support her in her attempt to cut A from the family, and I was against it. I called her out for being childish, she in turn called me toxic and said that I am dumb now. Lovely. That was the final straw for me to finally stop talking to her as well. She tried to threaten me by saying I would never be allowed near her son anymore. Not a good threat, I don't even like children. Him being my nephew does not change that. This was it for many, many years. Beautiful years I used to get in a much better mental state. How she got back into my life. Yes, you were reading it right. She is back. Fuck my life, huh? My grandmother passed away last year, so most of my family met up at my mother's house for the funeral. I was emotionally drained already, since I really love my grandmother so much and I haven't slept well since I found out. My sister also attended and she brought her 2 boys. Before she even arrived, she sent a text to my mum's girlfriend saying that she doesn't want anyone digging up old stuff or try to drag her kids into this. Yes, I know, extremely childish. Unfortunately, I think the irony was completely lost on her. We all very quickly agreed that we would never do that to her, especially since it's not the boys' fault that their mother isn't exactly a good sister. Also, it was the funeral of our mother's mother, not really the place for any drama. I barely talked to her or her kids. I let them play on my Nintendo Switch. However, because they were very polite and well behaved. The older one even complimented me, saying I'm good at Crash Bandicoot, which I'm not, but it still felt nice. Because the whole funeral thing was a nightmare to coordinate, we opened up a group chat for family stuff. So I'm kind of forced to talk to my sister again. I'm not happy about that, and it already stressed me out. If you're interested, I could make another post for that stuff that was recently going on, but this is already long enough. Also, I want to clarify, I don't think she is a bad mother. Kay is actually a great mother. Her boys are healthy, confident, polite, full of energy, and most importantly, fully vaccinated. They ask before taking stuff, they're careful with things that don't belong to them, and they love Pokemon. They are good, it just happens that she sucks at being a sister. Thank you for reading my stupid ramblings. I love this community, awesome people everywhere. Hope you have a fantastic morning, day, evening or night, depending on the time zone and when you read this. Special thanks of course goes out to Mark, the master of cringe, who always reassures me that if I want to talk, he will listen. I don't like sharing stuff that is too personal, but it feels nice knowing I could get help if needed. Bless you. And yes, always talk. Never keep stuff to yourself. It only brings you down. It only brings you down. So always here for any of you guys if you ever need it. Thank you, Toxic, and thank you for being a long-standing member of our community and sharing your story. It is much appreciated. And if you've got Animal Crossing, hit me up on Discord. Thank you so much for being here today. I just want to say, as always, your support blows me away. I'm forever thankful to each and every one of you guys. I'm well aware that I've missed some of the posts in the Daddy Cringe subreddit at the moment. I'll probably do a video midweek, another subscriber video, just to catch up, because you share them and I love sharing them with everyone else. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys.